switching some numbers around. All right.
Hey, I have a topic.
All right, what do you got?
So
what the fuck?
somebody sent me a drug chart on what was most and least addictive.
Yeah, colors and stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
Can we see the chart?
Can you link it again? Because I forgot. I thought it was like.
Yeah, I can. Can somebody send it to
Wings?
Wings?
So I want to talk about an epidemic happening in my area.
Because I think I saw this and I was like, that's bullshit to a couple of
See, now I don't have as much experience with barbiturates, benzophenes, buprenorphine, amphetamine, ketamine, and 4-MTA metaphenate.
You see that one that's red over there? That's way on by itself?
What, heroin?
Yeah. There's an outbreak of that motherfucker right here.
Here's the thing. I didn't like this one, I think, one, because methamphetamine is in here. Amphetamines is on here, but that's different than methamphetamines. Amphetamines are just uppers.
All right. So
because methamphetamine, I think, would be way in the corner, holding hands with heroin and cocaine over there.
What is a barbiturate? What is that?
I forget.
Kyle, what's a barbiturate? It's a downer, right? It makes you sleepy and dopey and slow.
Yeah.
They have street methadone on here, but not meth. Interesting.
Kind of intoxicant. I know that alcohol is a barbiturate.
Yeah, you're right.
Painkillers and stuff like that are.
Alcohol's on here separately.
That actually makes sense with the addiction level of this thing here.
So we talked about. I guess what happened was I did the heroin story, whatever, 1 or 2 weeks ago, and this is dependence and physical harm. Anabolic steroids, not as high as I would like. I don't have any personal experience with anabolic steroids,
but high on the harm scale. You're talking.
I might be on a barbiturate.
The dependence, actually, it's actually the very lowest on all of the dependents. Right. Yet, my experience of knowing people who've done steroids says that they have a real hard time like getting off them. It's an emotional thing. Like their whole sense of self-worth is wrapped up in their success, and they know that they're being supercharged, and they have a hard time giving that up. I feel like anabolic steroids might not have a physical dependence, just like marijuana, as far as I know, doesn't have a physical addiction. There is a thing that sometimes people find hard to let go of.
But that's why I don't like this chart. It's a lot. I feel like
the difference is this:
cannabis is 1.5 on here for the dependence scale, compared to things like ecstasy and solvents. And solvents are way more addictive, I think. Than
solvents definitely are. I remember, like Charlie Day huffing the glue. So the difference is this: you take this. I'm certainly no expert, but the steroids you're taking in a cycle. It's a dosage. It's a I had a friend of my cousin's, this guy, he took steroids, and we were all three working out, and this guy was fucking huge, and he kept vials in his fridge, and he like put a syringe in his butt and like gave himself shots. So it was like legit steroids. And I wouldn't say he was dependent on them, but he was planning to do that next cycle. You know, he'd do like, I don't know, 6 weeks on and so many weeks off. There was a program he was on. So
I don't think you guys are reading the chart right.
No?
Like, you go up's dependency, to the right's physical harm. See, it judges two different things.
What
like, steroids are not very on dependency, but it hurts you.
That's what he's saying, though. He's saying
Kyle is like giving a fight back for steroids, like he's not dependent on it.
He's explaining why people aren't dependent on it. What he is saying, he thinks.
Yeah, I'm saying I think there's a dependence on steroids, even if it's not physical, that people's entire sense of self-worth often gets wrapped up in it. And Kyle, I think, is agreeing with me.
By the way, tobacco on self-harm is in the same category as things like LSD, solvents, ecstasy. I would put it even anabolic steroids.
I think tobacco should be higher. Because
in terms of harm?
Yeah.
Yeah, tobacco is
really because
the drug that kills the most.
You can smoke 20 of them a day for 10 years and be okay.
That's true, actually, as opposed to something like alcohol.
Do 20 drinks a day for 10 years, or 20 hits of any drug, really.
So you haven't had a cigarette since the survival trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just a flat-out non-smoker now.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Fine. I don't think about it unless there's a lot of downtime. It's like, I would like... Because it's like, if there's nothing to do or I don't want to do anything, I fill that void normally with either getting coffee or having a smoke. Because, a cigarette takes between 3 and 5 minutes. I know how much time it kills. So, like, unless there's downtime, or, like, I saw this and went tobacco, and I went, cigarette would be really nice right now. But, like,
I got it.
I think anyone has that. Like, I'm sure Kyle would agree. Like, yeah, there are points where it'd be nice to have a cigarette right now after a big meal or whatever. Yeah, but like, I'm not scratching or anything. I don't think about it. You know, it's like I said, when there's a lull and I got nothing going on, I'm not doing any work. It's like, cigarette would be nice.
It's just
like,
out of boredom.
Yeah.
Hey, are we? Do we have another round of that game?
Which one?
The game where we tell a story or answer a question.
Yeah, let's not play that game again. That game's terrible.
I can make another round.
But that was all that was intended.
That was all intended, but I can quickly make one.
I'd like to do another round of that game.
Okay,
I got a question about this before we get off this. Like, it's
well, give me a second to think of
barbiturate.
questions.
I looked up the word barbiturates, and like it says that's pretty much anxiety medicine and stuff like that.
So things like Xanax and stuff.
Yeah, Xanax and stuff. But like, I'm on Prozac. That's an anxiety med.
Right.
So like, this is it's scaling pretty bad here. And like, I would go on the other side and say like, Prozac saved my life, and it's a two.
Sure, but you do know like all of those mind-altering drugs. Everyone knows the rigmarole of like side effects that come with them too. Like, you know, that's why it's so high on this physical.
Yeah, but like the side effects that I'm feeling is like I break out from time to time. I get like red botches on my face, and my sex drive is almost non-existent.
You need the test. We need the steroids in you. That's what you should do.
I'm just saying, like, these are the side effects I've noticed
Uh-huh.
as taking them. Like, I have no sex drive, and when I'm on them, like taking them regularly, like a good dosage. Like sometimes I mess up the time where I'm supposed to take. Supposed to take them every 24 hours. Sometimes I'll take them every 36 or something like that. But if I'm taking them regular, my mother could die and I wouldn't have an emotional reaction to it. Like it just literally numbs you like that. Like you just don't have emotions at all. Like, but you also don't feel anxiety at all. Like you could be like, well, flat fucking broke. For what the sun's doing today. You know, it's like
That's been my biggest fear. I've talked about it on the show before, but I always felt like if I was hypothetically on like an anxiety drug, that it would somehow lower my performance in.
it does.
You know, like yeah, you know, this is crashing and that's collapsing, but nothing registers on my give a fuck
It does.
meter.
Like literally, I find myself laying in bed watching Netflix more now on anxiety medicines because I don't care about it. I don't care what my bank account looks like. I don't care if a video goes up or things like that because there's no emotional response to it. I used to have like anxiety attacks to the point of panic attacks, and I would go and force myself to do something. Now it's.
How does YouTube hate impact? Like, does that also just it's a shield?
I don't notice it. I'm more progressive thinking. Like I'm more about let's go get some answers done. But at the same time, it's like
Answers done?
well, like I'm more used to. I make an excuse up for everything why I couldn't do it. I'd give you 15 excuses why I couldn't push the ball up the hill.
Okay.
Now I'm more like, well, here's 3 ways I could probably get the ball up the hill. That's a change in my mindset. But at the same time, I don't care if I push the ball up the hill.
All right, that problem is solved hypothetically.
Yeah. You know, that's the problem. And I'm like, December of last year, I probably would have killed myself. I was close to it. And
You're
like,
talking about it.
I was very close to it. I was past the point of talking about it more in the stages of planning it. And Prozac probably saved my life. And like, it kind of bothers me that it's on a 2.5 to a 3.2 here. And it's right up there with cocaine and heroin because heroin's an epidemic in my area right now.
Well, barbiturates are, not Prozac specifically. I think Prozac's one of those
there's
drugs.
a world of difference between
If
Prozac.
I think they're lumping. See, they don't have opioids on here or any kind of painkiller. I think they're lumping those in with barbiturates.
well, heroin's an opioid.
Wings, if Prozac was
Yeah,
worth
but you know
a
what I
damn.
mean. Painkillers, Oxy,
Hold on.
Vicodin.
Wings, if Prozac was worth a damn, it wouldn't bother you. Is that what it's for?
Are you feeling anxiety right now?
Oh my God, I'm on Team Prozac.
A little bit, you know, like if you had it, maybe you need to up your dosage until you're not bothered.
Harm to myself that I'm actually doing good. Is this period in my life where I'm actually content, actually destroying my life? Like, am I building a long-term addiction here? And I'm questioning that because it doesn't cloud your thinking at all.
It's much more difficult to get addicted to something like Prozac than it is a pill like Xanax or hydrocodone or OxyContin or
because this
something
thing
like
got barbiturates right there with heroin, and I know a bunch of people on heroin. Hell, my brother's on heroin right now.
Is
And
he
like-
snorting it or is he shooting it?
He's snorting it, but snorting it only lasts until the money runs out.
Yeah.
Like generally, heroin comes in two forms. You don't know, they come in wax packs where it's like a powder where you snort it or you drink it, and then eventually those are like $10 to $15 a hit. Whereas like you can get $5, you can get basically what you call Black Death, which you put in a syringe and you shoot up your arm, which gives you a quicker high and gives you a more immediate high. And the reason heroin's like the end of the opiate rainbow. Like you start off with painkillers like not Xanny, but Oxycontins and Dilaudid and things like that, and then you slowly go up the thing. And when you can't afford the prescription pain pills no more, you go to heroin, because heroin's like 3 times the strength of what's that shit
Oxycontin.
It's the morphine. It's 3 times the strength of morphine. Like it'll really fuck with you. And like heroin's the end of the rainbow for like pain pills and stuff. And it's like I'm on something that's kind of lumped in with the same shit as heroin. And heroin, my brother's lost like 50 pounds.
I think you're reading too much into this stupid.
Yeah, it's
like
not lumped in.
Like I said,
heroin.
Cannabis is at a 1.5 on the dependency scale, next to ketamine and fucking LSD
And like,
and
how big of a scale is this? That's also I want to know. Like, how was this like?
Are you actually worried, Wings? Because
I'm actually worried because like I'm sitting thinking like, am I sending myself down a dependent?
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No.
So my idea
thing
was
we're looking at here is
like get to a better part of my life and then get back off them, because I don't.
The thing we're looking at here is lumping all barbiturates into one lump thing, and those are made up of a lot of bad things like heroin and alcohol. And because the numbers, the health risk of things like heroin and alcohol specifically are so high, it's lumped over there. But if if Prozac in particular were on here, it'd be way to the left, right there with marijuana or something.
If this was a
probably even
prescription
less.
drug scale, it'd be so far next to 0, while Oxy and stuff was in the top right. Like,
I have
You're
a friend
taking
who's taken this road before you. It wasn't Prozac, it was Lexapro. And it worked out really well for him. Yeah, he had anxiety. It seemed like just everything about his life would eat him up. I remember he was telling me about it, and I think somebody tailgated me or something. And I was like, look at that fucker, what an idiot. And he's like, that's not me. If that was me, then like I'd be thinking about him. I'd be wondering about my mistake, if I should have done it better. It'd be like preoccupying. It'd be in his thought process that someone didn't approve of the way he drove for some minute. And he took Lexapro, and that just solved everything. Almost kind of like you described, almost too much solving. In some respects, like almost everything was water off a duck's back, and he couldn't just drop it. I think they cut his prescription too quickly, and I don't know what a brain freeze is like, and he wasn't able to articulate it, but he said that sometimes he would have these like brain freezes, and so they had to like up his dosage and bring him down more slowly, and now he's a totally happy guy. That little period of his life is behind him, and it was a good route for him to take.
Yeah, you shouldn't be concerned about Prozac. Prozac is to heroin as a Ford Focus is to a Formula One racer.
Yeah,
like,
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not
low.
having the same effect as like my brother is on heroin. But like,
what a shame.
It's
that is rough.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I just know
drug.
like pharmaceutical medicines is a science that people like to pretend they understand a lot of the times. Like you don't really know what some of the things that you do or take actually do to you. Like I remember back in the 50s, they used to tell women to clean the house with what was that shit called?
Lye.
It could be lye, but it was like some kind of chemical that was really fucking bad for you.
Are you thinking of when they told pregnant women that it was safe to take thalidomide, and then there were the children of thalidomide that came out all like?
I don't know. It's something like that. I'm just worried about like we don't
monster
fully understand what we're giving to ourselves to.
Well, it's certainly not. In an ideal world, you wouldn't need this, right? Like
Right.
it's not. It's no different than anything. You are putting it. That's why I said there are a lot of side effects with any of these, mood altering drugs. Everybody knows that. So like in that regard, yeah, it's certainly not great, but if it's helping your mental stability, then it is good.
I'm much happier.
But once you need it, it's not. You get off of it.
Who prescribed it?
My mother's family doctor.
Okay. Do you feel like they're monitoring you? Like, do you talk to them and let them know how it's going?
I go back every 3 months. I've only been to them twice.
I